All right. If you're watching this video, it's likely we've already discussed the all-in-one loan, or maybe you just found out about this program and you want to see if it makes sense for you. The best way for us to do that is jump into this loan comparison simulator, which I'm going to walk you through. What this is going to do is it's going to compare the all-in-one loan with traditional mortgage financing. Now, before we get started, I do want to acknowledge one thing, that the all-in-one loan may not be for everyone, but that doesn't mean everyone shouldn't know about this program. I truly believe it is the most innovative mortgage program in the market today, and I firmly stand behind that because I have two of them and speak from experience. Now we're going to jump right in. The very first thing you're going to want to do is you want to go to our website, which is valorhl.com/AIO. That's Valor, VALOR, HL, as in home loans.com/AIO. All right, we're going to jump right in. We're going to click this drop down button, start a new simulation. Now, had I already run a simulation for you and provided you with a code, you could enter that here. Or if you have already created a profile, you could log in here and see any previous simulations you've already run. So let's click start a new simulation. Now, as we go through this, the majority of the information it asks for is pretty intuitive, but I'm going to try to get through it as fast as I can and highlight some of the areas of max importance in order to get accurate results. So from this drop down, we're going to go, in this video, I'm going to highlight and focus on rate and term refinance. Now, it is eligible for purchase and cash out refinance. We're going to focus on a rate and term refinance for this video. Home occupancy. It is eligible on a primary residence, second home, and investment property. We're going to go with primary residence today. And comparison type. We're going to go with new AIO loan versus existing traditional loan because we're paying off a mortgage that you currently have. Now, if you were doing a purchase or you're just dead set on refinancing and you want to see an AIO versus any other new loan, you would go with this option, but we're going to go with this one for now. All right, we're going to do a very specific scenario. So we're going to say that you bought a house 2 years ago for $800,000. You put 20% down. Your balance to start was $640,000. Now, 2 years later, you're considering a refinance. The value of your house has gone up to $900,000. Your loan balance right now, assuming this scenario, would be $620,632.24. You can find that on your mortgage statement. You started with a 30-year fixed and a rate of 5%. You can choose any other loan term that you want from this drop down. We're going to go with the 30-year fix. Now, we did say that you've had this loan for 2 years, so we're going to enter 24 months, and that does match our amortization schedule with a principal and interest payment of $34.35 and 66 cents for this traditional mortgage loan 30-year fix. Now, you can show if you've paid any extra payments over that time. That obviously would affect your loan balance. We're going to leave that blank for now. Also, if you wanted to refinance a first and a second mortgage all into one, you could do that and enter your second mortgage information here. We're going to skip that for now. We're going to go to next. Now, this is very important. So what we're looking for here is your net deposits into your checking account every month. So if you get paid, we're not looking for the gross amount. So we're not taking your gross salary or income. We're looking for the net after all deductions. So the amount that actually hits your checking or savings account every month. So in this situation, let's just say that someone's making $20,000 salary per month, but they get paid twice a month. We're going to enter the frequency of deposit right here. Let's just say they walk away with $14,000. So we're going to say $7,000, again, twice a month, which equals $14,000. And we're going to scroll all the way down here to the bottom. It's going to show you where we're at right now. But let's assume that either the borrower has a second job or a co-borrower. And we want to put additional deposits in here. So we're going to say the co-borrower gets $2,000 twice a month again for a total of $4,000. If there are any other deposits, you can enter those here. We're going to hit save and close. This is going to summarize. Right now, we're looking at $18,000 in monthly deposits, $216,000. And again, this is net. So this is what is actually hitting your checking account. That is very, very important. Now, this is a really cool feature that I want to highlight with the all-in-one. So in traditional mortgage sense, let's just say you have a mortgage balance of $620,000 and you've got your rainy day fund. Let's just say you got $50,000 in a rainy day fund, kind of your just in case. Well, what the all-in-one does compared to traditional financing where they act independently is the all-in-one combines the mortgage and your checking and savings account, so that way you have them all in one. And instead of, paying 5% interest on a mortgage and earning, 0.5% or 1% in a savings account, they combine the two and you only pay interest on the net amount. So 620,000 minus 50,000, you're only paying interest on the 570,000. And again, this is a home equity line of credit. So you have access to that $50,000 anytime you want. It still acts as your rainy day fund, your just in case fund. You do not lose access to it for the 30 years. So let's go ahead and click next. Again, if you had future one-time deposits, you can, let's go ahead and put that 50,000 in here for this scenario. And then if you had additional one-time deposits that are coming in the future, you can enter those here, but we're just going to click next. This is also an important page. I wanted you to first go to the taxes and insurance. Now, the simulator assumes 1.5%, which is typically high. We're going to change this number from 1145 to 800. And you would know that by looking at your escrow account on your mortgage statement. Now, this is important right here. So what this is asking for is the percentage left over at the end of every month. So if we plug in 10%, that assumes in this scenario, this client would have $1,800 left over at the end of every month after all bills are paid, mortgage is paid, everything. Other bills outside of the mortgage would total up to about $12,000. Or maybe let's just say 15%. And at the end of the month, they have $2,700 on average left over at the end of the month that goes into savings. That means that outside of the mortgage, all other expenses, car payment, student loan, credit card debt, utilities, entertainment, you name it, whatever, totals up to $11,000. Now, if you wanted to get really specific, you could click this itemized detail. You can do this and you can itemize it out. What I have found is people underestimate when they tend to do this. So I prefer to hit this remove and continue. I prefer option number one and just kind of go ballparking it off of a percentage. Now we're going to use, let's just use 15% in this scenario. Actually, let's just change this to 12. We're going to go with 12% left over and calculate results. We are almost done. All right, so in this scenario, if everything was exactly as we laid it out to be, the all-in-one loan would save the borrower $94,000, okay, over the life of the loan. Total principal paid on both of these would be that $620,000 balance. The difference is in the total interest paid of $439,000 versus $533,000 with traditional financing. Now, this makes an assumption that I want us to focus on and I want us to go in and change. So click this rates and assumptions. Now what this does is this assumes that you, the borrower, have selected a 4% margin. Now, what the most popular margin that most people choose is 3 1/4. And I can go through these specifics, what the difference is between the 4 and 3 1/4, 2.75. But let's just go with 3 1/4 on this scenario. How you determine the interest rate for an all-in-one is you take a margin, this number right here that's always fixed, you add it to the 30-day average SOFR. So in the month of July, that number is 4.319. That number only changes the first of every month, okay? And then it stays for the rest of the month. So for the month of July, if we had this margin with this index, the SOFR index, the rate would be 7.569. Now our floor rate would be 3.75, couldn't ever go below that, and it could never go above 13.569, 6 points over the initial rate. Now, this rate trend is pretty important. So what the simulator assumes in this scenario is that the rate will never change from 7.569, or at least the average that we're going to use is going to be that 7.569. Now we all know rates are a little bit higher now than they are traditionally and historically. So you have different options. You can use a historical average rate. You can kind of start looking at worst case scenarios, initial rate +1, +2, +3. I personally prefer to use the historical average rate and the remain at an initial rate just to kind of have a worst case scenario option. But let's just go with this historical average rate. This is going to show us that the average rate we're using in this scenario is 5.607. So now let's click return to results and see what that does. Let's click yes. Okay, now we went from under 100,000 savings to over 315,000 in savings compared to traditional financing. The big difference is in the total interest. 217,000 with the all-in-one, 533,000 with the traditional mortgage financing. With the all-in-one loan, it would be paid off in 142 payments, 11.8 8 years. This one, remember, we started it with 2 years already. We have 28 years left. Now, I want to highlight a couple of these links down here. This is pretty cool. So interest as a percentage of principal with the all-in-one loan, 35%. With traditional financing, 86%. The loan effective APR, okay, with the all-in-one loan, 2.112% versus 5% with traditional financing. In order for these two scenarios to be equal, the average rate would have to be 8.84, okay? But man, this effective APR of 2.112, that is unbelievable. Let's return to results, and we're going to look at one more thing. Now, wealth accumulation. Okay, what are you going to do when you pay the loan off? Well, your financial advisor would love you if you were starting in month 143 to take the money that you were using for the all-in-one and invest it with him, earning a conservative 5% return. That would mean at the end of the 336 payments, you would have an investment account balance now of $1 million versus the traditional loan, you would not have access to that. Okay, so that is a massive, massive benefit to the all-in-one. Let's just say 7%. Okay, your financial advisor would probably say that's fair. Now 1.2 million. You can start to see the power of the all-in-one loan over a traditional mortgage financing and why I say it is the most innovative mortgage product there is. Now, from here, you could download a PDF. You can look at historical charts. You can see different rates. There's all kinds of things. You can do a pay down table and you can see how the loan is paid down. You can download that to a CSV file. You can share this. So if you got someone who wants to take a look at it to see if this thing really makes sense to them, I mean, send it to your financial advisor. Send it to your friends, send it to family, send it to people you trust. The more people that know about this loan, the better it is for me. So I want you to share this and talk about it with friends and family and your financial advisors. Up here, you can just start over if you want, but don't ever hit the back button, okay? If you want to change anything, just click these tabs. Setup, you can change this. Deposits, you can change this. Spending, you can change this. Like if we went down to 10% instead of 12%, okay? And we hit calculate results. Now we're saving just under $300,000, paying it off in 13.1 years. Wealth accumulation, just a little bit under $1 million. Okay, I want you to feel comfortable clicking around, making changes, running scenarios to see if the all-in-one makes sense for you. All right, that's it. That was a lot, but you can see once you kind of understand where to put information and what information is required, you can get through these things so fast. I'm going to show you just a quick example. Clear all fields, set up, new simulation, go. Let's look at a purchase this time. Home occupancy, primary residence, new AIO loan. Okay, we'll say $1 million, 800,000. Comparison loan term, say 30-year fixed. We're going to compare with 6.5%. Again, this is on a purchase. We're going to click next. Repeating deposit. We're going to say this client gets $10,000 net into their bank account twice a month. We're going to say they got $100,000 just sitting in savings, earning next to nothing. Next. We're going to say the taxes and insurance in this scenario are $1,000. We're going to say the borrower saves $3,000 a month. Calculate results. Boom. There we go. In this purchase scenario, an AIO loan compared to a traditional mortgage financing, 11.3 years, saving $634,000. Rates and assumptions. We're going to change this to 3.25 again. We're going to change this to historical average. Return to results. Yes, we want to save it. Saving $800,000 compared to traditional mortgage financing. We've got to start thinking interest cost versus interest rate. What is this mortgage going to cost you overall? How do we maximize the interest to your benefit? All right, now I'm done. If you have any questions, reach out to me, Todd Crane, 719-482-5359, or email me, Todd, T-O-D-D, .crane @Valor, VALOR.com. I look forward to talking to you about this product and seeing if it makes sense for you. Have a great day.